Good morning everyone and welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. It is very windy, which is going to affect the sound on this, so we'll have to see how it goes. It is Sunday, and on Sundays I tend to do a bit of a catch-up chat video, which is what today's video is going to be. Now, the weather is horrible. It is really muggy. We had 0.9 of a mil of rain this morning and that's it. So it's not supposed to rain again today, but it is overcast and very heavy. Not much shade around at this time of the morning either, so I'm having trouble finding a shaded spot. So you'll have to excuse the squinting and the glare and all the rest of it. So what's been going on this week? Lots of food prep because it was the first week after the groceries, so we have to get through a lot of that, and I've still got more videos that are being sorted coming through as well. We are still trying to set up the irrigation for the gardens at the moment because we rearranged things a little bit. The irrigation isn't quite in the right spot, and because we don't have all the beds full, we don't want to run the full drip irrigation because we're wetting beds that have nothing in them, though it is good for them to be wetted down anyway, because it's good for the soil and that too. So we're still working on that at the moment, but it means that I'm hand watering just bits and pieces around, which is very time consuming and isn't as good as having the drip lines, because the drip lines would more consistently water than what I can do with a watering can. So in regards to what's in the garden, I haven't got anything more into the garden yet because I'm still having a lot of issues with getting seedlings to a size to transplant out. We had like a 3-degree morning. I might have mentioned that last week. The weeks go by so quickly. But we had a 3-degree morning, and we've still been getting like 30-degree days. So there's this big swing in temperatures, which is affecting the germination rate of the seeds, the stability of the seedlings as well, and stuff in the garden is going okay, what has lived, but it's such a small amount that has actually passed the first stage. So everything in the garden is still just a little bit of a stalemate, and I've got to hope that we have enough length of time post when I get all this sorted that we will still get a decent harvest. So our first frost isn't normally until May, so we do have a fairly long period. So even if things aren't in the ground until after Christmas, then we still have time for just about everything to go. And in fact, generally speaking, most of the time I do a succession plant just after Christmas anyway. So basically we're just missing that first lot of planting, which is sad because at this time of the year normally we'd have a whole lot of fresh vegetables that we'd be eating and taking in. We'd have zucchinis, we'd have cherry tomatoes just starting to come in and all that sort of thing, and we've had nothing so far this year. So it's frustrating, but hopefully because we've got a long grow season, we will have time to still get plenty in the end. So I picked some garlic the other day. I'll put a quick photo in here. The garlic did not do very well. I'm not entirely sure why, because I really heavily amended the bed that I put the garlic in. Actually, I do know why. It was because that bed was exposed to the guinea fowl, and the guinea fowl were dust bathing and chewing on the ends of the garlic as they came up and things like that, and nothing did particularly well. So I've got a few okay sized heads, a lot of really small balls, and that's fine. We will use them regardless, but I will just have to buy garlic in bulk again this year like I did last year to make up my smoked garlic paste and things like that and store it in the freezer. I made a garlic confit type thing. It wasn't a confit because it wasn't done with oil. It was like a caramelized garlic paste sort of thing out of a book that I found. I'll have to look up the book, but I'll share it when I do it again. But we canned these little jars of garlic and it was absolutely delicious. So I'm definitely going to do that again. I have to can it in small jars though, because as soon as you open a jar, we just eat the whole lot. So we just spread it on whatever we're eating and eat the whole lot. So in regards to plants out in the garden, the beans that I planted, the ones that survived, are starting to trail up the trellis, and I'm just going to put a few more beans in between them. Only one side is doing very well though, the other side isn't. Let me turn you around. So this side is doing okay, though these two, instead of going up the trellis, have climbed up each other, which is, when I've got two hands, I will untangle that and tangle up. I've got we've been using the snail pellets, you can see them over there in the beds, which is definitely helping, but we still have something eating a lot of leaves. But these few plants here are doing okay, they're climbing okay and going up the trellises here. But the ones on the other side have been eaten. And then this is where I planted a whole lot of bush beans, and most of them haven't come through. As you can see, it's really sparse what has come through, but part of that's because what has come through, as soon as it comes through, it gets chomped on and then is no more. So that's the problem I have with the bush beans here. I very rarely get a significant harvest of bush beans because as soon as the bean sprouts come up, they get eaten. There is still some slaters in here. Not a huge amount compared to what was here before, but that's not going to help matters any. And I bought some diatomaceous earth, but I can't find my little puffy thing that I use to distribute it, so I need to get a new one to do that. But we were expecting rain today, so I didn't want to do it before today, but now that we've had this little drizzle of rain, I'll get that done. The beans on this side were a different the ones on that side are purple and these ones were green, I think, and we've had some issues. Slaters have eaten the stems on a couple of them, but they've also been eaten, the little growth points are getting eaten too, so they're not doing anything. But I am going to just come out and replant beans in these 2 rows. It's lucky that beans are an inexpensive seed to just keep on replanting, so I'm just going to keep on putting them in. I need to mulch this bed as well and protect this soil. I just haven't got around to it, so, but I'm going to just replant more bush beans and more climbing beans here and see what we can do. I still have this whole trellis here empty. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet, so I need to fix that up. The hollyhocks are going beautifully. There's some lovely big stalks that's touching the roof up there, so that's considerable. I planted out some of my zinnias, and some of these are doing okay, which is good. And this was some of the garlic that didn't do well at all. Starting to pull bits that are dying off, and there is some, like that one hasn't quite cloved up yet, and it's still got enough green on there that I'm just going to let it go for a bit. But you know, that one's good, and then you look at the ones that, like this one's little tiny, so all these little bulbs I'm still harvesting, and you know, that's not going to do anything more, it's too dead, but I will take them out and I will use them regardless. So there's that going on there. The single zucchini is still the only one in the bed. I haven't planted any more out yet, so we've still got this single zucchini sitting here. And then we've got like this whole section here was planted out with turnip seeds, and this is all the turnips that survived. This whole row here was planted out with beetroot, and these beetroot are the only ones that have survived. And this is our definite watermelon plant volunteer that I'm just going to let do whatever it wants to do. The bed of beetroot that I planted over here, I need to weed this section too. So I've let all these onions go to seed. Nothing has been harvestable as yet, but this bed of beetroot is doing fairly well too, so that's good. I'm letting that go. There's a couple of there's a weed there, but there's a couple. This is a Jerusalem artichoke that obviously was left behind in this bed that is coming up there as well, and I'll just let that go because the beetroot will be harvestable before that's any real concern. This is horseradish that has died off. Obviously I need to pull that out and replant that somewhere. And then we've got Jerusalem artichokes in this bed, as well as some weeds, because there's weeds everywhere in this section at the moment. Some calendula that are flowering, and I've got some parsley seeding here as well, so that I can harvest some seeds from that. Swathes of, you know, really pretty weeds. And then my tree onions, my Egyptian walking onions, are doing really well. They're flowering and starting to drop to extend, which is great. And then this is the slightly better garlic, but this is actually garlic from last year. So this is garlic that was overwintered that I accidentally left behind, and I think it's elephant garlic, so it probably won't bulb up at all, but it's probably these little bulbils that were left behind last year that have sprouted up this year, which is fine. So I'll remember that. I'm going to amend this bed. This is where some of the peppers are going to go, so I will once I pull these, I will amend this bed and plant the peppers, and if we get some garlic out of this bed next year, then that'll be cool too. We have some of these weeds here, some significant aphid issues, so I need to pull these weeds, but I need to do it in a way that I'm not knocking those aphids into plants. But other than that, not much going on in the garden still. The potatoes are looking awesome though. I will take you out and show you the potatoes. We wade through all these weeds and projects on the way. So the potato beds are looking wonderful. There's lots of flowers in there. There's some gaps, and what will be will be. We'll get whatever we get out of here. That bed which we planted some of the supermarket potatoes in really didn't take off anywhere near as well. So, but this front section here was one type of supermarket potato, the middle section was another, and the back was seed potato. So whatever we planted in the middle there obviously just didn't do very well. I think that might have been the red ones that we were testing out. I think the ones on the end were the kiflers. So we will see how it goes and what we get out of this. We normally harvest this during Vlogmas, one of the days in December, just see how the plants go. The strawberry plants have got a new flush of flowers, so we should get another flush of fruit out of these soon, which is lovely. They're all looking lovely and healthy too. We've got the tromboncinos that I planted out here are taking off, which is nice. It's one of the very few things that are taking off. I need to get Darryl out here to dig up this big clump of grass because I can't get it out. But the tromboncinos are doing really well, so that's good. We've got some borage that self-seeded last year coming up in the middle of this bed too, which will attract the bees for pollinating of the tromboncinos, which is nice. And our raspberries are really doing well, considering we haven't managed to get them to do anything for the last couple of years. I'm really happy with how they're looking, and hopefully they'll spread out and cover that bed eventually. The Mr. Stacky isn't doing as well as I'd like with the strawberries, and I think that's just because a lack of keeping it watered, to be honest. I need to set up a little bit of a automated watering for it, but the runners don't seem to be progressing as well in there, so maybe strawberries aren't going to be the thing for this one. It was worth trialing. It worked really well for lettuce and spinach and stuff like that, so we might go back to doing that once it cools down a bit again, but it was worth giving these a go. I've got some more zucchini germinating here because obviously most of them didn't work, but I'm having a lot of problems with germination with the rates of with the temperatures and stuff. I bought a couple of these on my shopping video. I bought a couple of these little seedling trays from Aldi, and now I've been told that apparently Bunnings sells something very similar. They're a different brand, but I'm gonna have to check them out because they fit my seedling trays perfectly. Look at that. So I really love these seedling trays, but I was having trouble finding how to fit them into a base tray and things like that, and these work perfectly. So I'm going to have a look at Bunnings to see if I can get some more of these, because that will help with my germination. It keeps them nice and moist while things are germinating. Obviously in the temperatures that we're getting, it'll have to come off during the day once they're germinated, but for the moment this is a really good way to help with the germination during the day, keeping it moist and things like that. So I only got 3 of these because that's all that was left on the shelf. It was sort of all the money I had that particular month too, but I'm going to see if I can get a whole bunch from Bunnings to use as well. So I've got a bunch of some more peppers and some more tomatoes going here because that's what I'm low on. We have some tomatoes that are doing okay. These ones are German Johnson, which I've never actually grown before, and they seem to have done really well. So I'm glad that we got that because they're a nice big slicing tomato. I've got some Roma tomatoes here as well that are doing okay, but I've got a lot that isn't. So like these were supposed to be sun gold tomatoes, and most of them just aren't doing well. These are all look, something's chewed this off overnight. So we've lost another pepper there, which is the issue. These were all full 2 plants per square because I like to plant them in pairs, but I come out and find them dead constantly. So got a couple of sunrise bumblebee tomatoes that are doing okay there. A couple of miscellaneous ones that I'm not even sure what they are anymore. I've got some nasturtiums here that need planting out, and again some tomatoes that just aren't going anywhere. They're just, yeah, nothing is doing fantastically well. So we are still working on it, and I'm starting whole new batches of seedlings, and hopefully we will have some more success the second time round. All right, what else? I found some shade. Okay, the new baby chicks are being moved out to the tractor every day to get some time out in the grass. So I've got a little clip of footage here for you for that. They love going out there. 2 of the bigger ducklings have gone out with the rest of the older chickens and ducks. They grow so much quicker than little chicks. So they are out with the main ones now. And once these ones get bigger, we will move them too, which will be in time for the next lot of eggs to hatch. You know, chicken math and all that. We end up with lots more than we originally planned, but that is fine. And other than that, what are we doing? We're trying to strip the bathroom down at the moment. We are stripping the internal walls of the bathroom because it wasn't a waterproofed room, to redo the bathroom over this summer is the hope. So we're working on that, and I'll share that as we go. We got the quotes for the pantry structure, the steel frame pantry structure, and I'm pretty happy with the pricing and the sort of that through the company. So I'm looking to order that sometime end of this year, beginning of next year. I have to borrow funds probably from my mum, who is lovely and in a position to help out, which is awesome, and pay her back over the next 12 months or whatever for that. And then we can get that structure up and we can get the pantry enclosed. And then the plan is to close up the top of the house that is currently open, that has the pantry shelves on it, in time for winter, so that we can start moving some of the kids' crafting and schoolwork, computer work and stuff out into that other section of the house and open up the space where we sleep a little bit more, because as the kids get older, space is becoming a little bit more of a premium. So we've got that to do. What else? We need to build another few chicken pens as we start to split out the hens from the roosters as well. So we've got that in the works, and then lots more kitchen stuff. So I've got Vlogmas for next month. I did it last year. It was how I sort of instigated getting into YouTube. It was sort of a must do, not too much editing, and just push myself to get daily videos out. So I'm going to do it again this year because the kids really enjoyed the fact that I thought up stuff for them to do most days. So we do Christmas cookies, and we got some tie-dyeing to do this year, and we do a lot of Christmas craft and a lot of homeschool activities that are involved with Christmas. So I'll show that next month, try and do daily videos showing all the stuff that we get done during that. Grocery trip smack bang in the middle of the month as well. So I've got to do some planning in the next couple of weeks before the grocery trip to try and figure out what I need, if there's any supplies or anything that I have that I need for Vlogmas as well, for the cooking for Christmas and all that sort of thing, because we won't go again until after Christmas. Darryl does have to go into Toowoomba after I come back from the grocery trip too, though, which will be handy in case anything gets missed. He has a doctor's appointment in Toowoomba, so that will be convenient for him to duck in to do that. I am going to take the trailer this trip as well, because I'm hoping to purchase a new bed for the kids. I want a single over double bunk for the girls' room so that we can move some of the old furniture out and get that sorted. And so I'm hoping to try and score that while I'm down in Brisbane next. What else is going on? Don't know, can't think of anything else right this minute. We're getting a lot of, the other reason for the trailer is that it should be stone fruit season, so I'm hoping to get quite a few boxes of stone fruit. If you can hear that just kick in, that was the inverter. I'm standing underneath the secondary solar array because it's nice and shady, so if you can hear that in the background, that's the inverter fan kicking in, because obviously we might have turned the fans on inside or something. So yes, I can't think of any other updates. I always get to editing these videos and sit there and think, I meant to say this and I meant to mention this, and I forget. But that's partly why I use Instagram and Facebook as well, because I can share stuff throughout the week on there as well as I think of it, and have more of a discussion backwards and forwards there too. But I think that's it. So the garden is still just nowhere near where I want it to be, but it is I do feel like there is some progress being made, which is very handy. It makes doing more with it feel a little like it's worthwhile, rather than feeling like I should just give up. So some progress is always a good thing in that way. But yes, we've got lots more videos to share on food throughout this week that I'm still editing and voiceovering and getting sorted, so we'll keep on sharing those. I'll try and do another what we eat in a week for the weekish before I go on the trip, because where everyone really loved that, and that last week is when I have to get a bit more creative, so there's a lot more creative make from what I've already done meals, so I'll do that then. I will try and do a video at some point to show you the sort of things I'm getting the kids for Christmas too, because I've been asked about that. What else? Nothing else that I can think of. I feel like I shouldn't address it because it's silly, but I'm going to make a quick comment about that. I get a few comments about my I don't really know how to approach it, to be honest, but I get a few comments about my weight and the quantity of food that is prepared, and no wonder that I am the weight I am. Now, I don't feel the need to make any excuses or to make any, I don't know. I don't feel like I have to explain myself, but at the same time, I don't have a problem with it either, because I put myself out there, and so I expect to get some throwback. So when I'm filming in my kitchen, I try really hard not to get the front of me in camera when I'm like shooting the bench and stuff, but unfortunately it's a little hard. So of course I have had 6 children, and 2 of those were a set of twins that were a cesarean delivery. So but I have been the weight that I am pretty much my entire life. So from before I fell pregnant with Surreal until now, and she is 15 and a half, I weigh exactly the same now as I did before I fell pregnant with her. It has just redistributed a lot. So I have a 4 to 5 finger separation of the abdominal muscles in my stomach. When I am pregnant, I get very large, and I have quite large babies. Apollo was 10 and a half pounds, and the twins were born at 33 weeks, but were 5 pound 1 and 5 pound 7 born. So a considerable size even for 33 weeks. So I have some tearing of the abdominal wall, which means that I basically always look pregnant because the muscles just won't hold it in. There is nothing I can do. I can wear like tubey grip type thing, a support garment, to help aesthetically, but it also helps with the like back pain and things like that too. But my skin really doesn't like it, especially in summer, and I end up with some severe rashes underneath wearing something like that, so I don't choose to. And to be honest, I'm not trying to impress anyone, so having a less rounded stomach is not really my thing. My food intake, like, you know, people say to lose weight you just need a caloric deficit. I do not eat a particularly large calorie count in a day. My appetite is fairly non-existent, so I really like good food. I really like cooking good food. I really like preparing good food, but I like doing it for other people. I will taste things and I will have meals, and like when I bake a treat, I might have a slice when it's warm and things like that, but generally speaking I don't come back for any more. That's what the kids are for, and it is wonderful to have so many kids who are happy to eat just about everything, because it means that I can bake and try recipes and do all this sort of thing and know that there is plenty of people to eat it. I'm not overfeeding anyone because there is enough people to share, and nothing's going to go to waste. So I just thought I'd address it briefly because I get significant comments, especially on grocery hauls. A lot of people, my grocery hauls are pretty good in my opinion. Like we eat a lot of non-processed goods. We buy a lot of food, but there's a lot of people. And I make most things from scratch, but I still get a fair amount of comments about no wonder that I'm obese because of the amount of food that we buy and eat. So I'm just going to address it really briefly for anyone who's watching this particular video, because these videos get a fairly large audience as well. But I'm not going to harp on it. It's nobody's business anyway. But at the same time, I put myself out here, and as I said, by putting myself out here, I expect that I am going to get positive and negative responses, and therefore I am willing to a degree, address them. So anyway, that was just a little bit of a side note, because it comes up over and over again, and I'll probably address it a few times over, because as the audience grows, we get new people coming in to do that sort of thing, and I'm happy to do that. Some of the videos that I put out, I sit there and I think, I've already gone over this, but I know that new audience doesn't necessarily go back and watch old stuff, so that's, but for all my regular viewers, they're always welcome to just skip past things anyway. So, okay, it's really warm. The inverter's just kicked in again, and I can see that the voltage has dropped, so someone's turned something on inside. I have pineapple cordial in the steam juicer, so I need to go and sort that out, and I need to get this video edited and put out. So thank you very much for joining me again today for my meander around the garden and my random discussion. That's what these videos are for, is to try and just cover some of the stuff that gets discussed and I haven't had a chance to address. So that's why I've been doing them weekly, and I found that works. Let me know if you think that this is too often to do these as well. As the garden takes off, the weekly garden videos are going to be really beneficial for me too for next year. I can, next year when I'm having all these problems again, I can look at this year's videos and go, just bear with it. It gets better. Maybe. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me again today, and I will see you again next time. Still got daily videos with food coming over the next few days, so I will get them sorted for you and edited, voiced over, and uploaded. Thanks, guys, for joining me again. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks.